The holidays are just in the rearview mirror, but it's time to think ahead. Unlock seamless security and efficiency in 2025 with Honeywell Forge Performance Plus for buildings visitor and contractor management software. Trade paper logs and outdated systems for instant check-ins, secure ID verification, and customizable access control that keep you in the driver's seat. With real-time data, you'll always know who's on your property and when, improving both safety and operational efficiency. From tracking visitors to managing contractor access, our intuitive platform makes handling entries simple, secure, and stress-free. Plus, it easily integrates into your existing infrastructure for a seamless transition. Protect your premises and your people today. Ready to upgrade your visitor and contractor management system? Visit sign.co. That's SINE.co to learn more, speak with a sales rep, or book a demo today.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Always On Point podcast with Kristen Ambos. Today, I have a really top-notch guest with me, Jill Dickson-Kesler from Jill & Company with Coldwell Banker. Jill is locally one of the top producers, if not the top producer, in the real estate world here and has been for quite some time. She also sits on the board of directors for the real estate group and countless committees of all alike, whether it be real estate, community, all of that. So I've been lucky enough to get to know Jill over the last few years, and I was excited when I asked her to come on today and talk about luxury living. So thank you, Jill, so much for coming in and having this conversation with me.
Thanks for having me. It'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So we like to just have a nice conversation about what's going on. And one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on to speak on our luxury home is because I know you do a lot of work in that space.
Yes.
And I also think it's one of those things where, especially in our area, where, you know, your loan limits used to be 300. Remember a few years ago, not even like 5 years ago, they were 300, 400,000.
For luxury, yeah.
For luxury. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden we're at 800,000.
Yeah.
And the amount of homes that I see that are upwards of $1 million to $1.5 million, $2 million in our area is huge. So we have a really big open door for it here in northeastern Wisconsin.
Well, it's changed so much, and a lot of people don't realize. So even like, for example, Coldwell Banker has the Global Luxury Certification, which I have. But the Global Luxury Certification, so to be a listing who goes into that extra website, I mean, you're with the Global Luxury Homes in Italy and all these other, like $42 million villas in Italy and all these places. Yeah. You only have to be 500,000 in Green Bay, which is kind of crazy because now, so they're looking at changing that standard, which will probably be closer to 800, which makes more sense because a $500,000 home now is almost it's almost a new construction, not starter home, but like your next step home.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say, you know, that your first time home buyers, but
some are.
The reality is some of them are in that area here. Yeah. And to find something in our market now between 250 and 350 is very difficult.
Oh, that's the most aggressive price point. Those are the ones still getting the bidding wars of price right and those type of things. But yeah, remember the days where like Brett Favre was here and he had like a $550,000 house and everyone was like, ooh, that's a big deal. And now it's like, you know, what would Brett Favre buy now? I mean,
True story. Yeah. True story.
Yeah.
No.
So we are dealing with it a lot more and we're seeing the market definitely shift towards that. And the second homes are now even the 800. So there's a lot more million. I mean, I printed some stats for you too, but there's a lot more inventory than there's ever been for higher end homes.
That's okay. That's exactly what I feel like too. And what I'm seeing. So that's why it was so important, I think, to talk about this, because little old Green Bay and northeastern Wisconsin, Fox Valley, people don't think that this is a community to go buy that luxury home. Yeah. But a lot of times people from out of town are coming in because they're getting them for pennies on the dollar
Oh.
that they would in any other areas or states.
Half the people that I've dealt with that come from California, I had one say, hey, how much, do you think we could afford and get? And I said, well, what are you paying in California? Well, my rent there was $10,000. I'm like, your rent was $10,000? Like, from a mortgage perspective, and then I asked what they got for that, and it's amazing. So when they come here and they're like, holy crap, what I get for the pennies on the dollar it's amazing.
Yeah. How long have you been in the luxury space?
Well, I started 14 years ago in business, and you always dabble in them. So back then I'd have some higher end listings here and there, but again, it wasn't to the capacity that it is now. Yeah. What I didn't bring for you, and I probably should have, is I just actually got something from Coldwell Banker, the big Coldwell Banker, about how much, I think my inventory now is up to almost 56% of our property is actually luxury, but I don't want that to take away from, we want everything. We want the $50,000 lots. We want the $200,000. I want your kids to come to me when they're buying their first home. Just because I deal with it doesn't mean that we don't want it. It's just, it's a different spectrum of how you market that and how you deal with it. But yeah, we have probably about 56% is now what our average on our team is.
That's amazing. And I love that you touched on that because I feel the same way about it. If a borrower is coming to me, and I know you do too, so I'm glad that if you're coming to me and you're a $100,000 buyer or you're $1 million buyer, I'm treating you the exact same way.
See, but there's a lot of agents who don't think that way. I've
Correct.
actually had agents say, I am not working with you unless you are 500 or over. I am not going to list your house for anything under. I feel like you really actually missed the ball on that. I remember one of my perfect examples when I was newer starting out is I drove up, it was a property on Day Street. Okay, right? So not to offend anybody who lives on Day Street. But they pulled up in this crappy car, and it was a crappy rent. And we looked at it, and come to find out, those people said, hey, we're going to buy this. We like it. By the way, we have 7 other rentals that we need you to sell in addition to our personal property. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, I'm like 3 years in, and I ended up getting 13 deals from that one client, from that one, tiny little house that I was scared of to go to.
This is why.
And you just don't know who you're dealing with. And a lot of people who have money don't act like they have money, and you just treat everybody the same. It doesn't matter if you're luxury or not. Yeah.
I learned it. This is kind of going off topic, but I learned the same thing. So when I was in college, I worked at a jewelry store part-time while I was getting through, and a specific client walked in and no one wanted to help her. And I was newer at the jewelry store, so I went over and helped her, and I had the biggest sale that day.
Yeah.
And it's exactly,
it's like the Julia Roberts moment, right?
Right. It absolutely is. So you can never judge a book by its cover in any stretch of the imagination. So I completely agree with you. And I love that you brought it up because it's important, because some people are thinking, okay, I'm going to buy this $300,000 or $400,000 home, but I know that my career is going to go. We just were working with a doctor that only bought a $400,000 house because they're just getting started. But eventually they're going to be in a luxury space, most likely.
Yes.
And having that client that you now have been able to earn that know, like, and trust with them at any capacity is huge.
Absolutely. And I think you and I do deal with this all the time. When you're talking physicians, when you're talking even athletes, we have the Packers here. When you're talking athletes, when you talk physicians, when you talk young entrepreneurs, they're all starting, they're having that first home, but they will eventually be stepping up into some capacity. And you just never know. So going back to the luxury side of it, which I love. So right now in our area, that's about 500,000 and above for global luxury. Which will be, that's what the global luxury certification is to be on that website. However, that would change. I would actually say if we were really looking at it, you're probably looking at, I'd say 800 and over.
Okay.
That's what I would consider luxuries, 800 and over.
In this market, for sure. So that's huge. What, as an agent, if I'm a consumer and I'm making that step into the luxury market, what am I looking for out of my real estate agent? Because I think that's huge.
Or, well, are you a buyer or seller? Because that makes a difference, right?
Fair enough. In this case, I'm a buyer.
Okay. If you're a buyer, one, you want to know, this is the number one thing. You want to know that your agent is experienced and they know the areas. You do not want to buy a property or build a property in an area that's not going to recoup that value. So there's a handful of properties in our area. 800 to $1 million is probably safe. You start spending. We just had a client who's going to build a $2 million property. You can't build that anywhere. You need to be surrounded by specific properties where that's going to resale. So pop that in certain areas, you're not going to recoup that. So that's your number one thing is experience and know the market inside and out and how that's gonna resale for you.
For sure. And that's so important too, because is your client, like, if I'm going to build a $2 million property for myself and stay there for 30 years, I probably don't care.
Yeah.
You know, that I'm
But if it's 2 to
not
5
going to
years-
recoup it. But if it's going to be 2 to 5 years, educating myself and having an agent not push into that market just because the client can afford it,
Yep.
but actually educating them
Yeah.
is huge. You know, I'm a huge advocate for that.
Right. Well, and then the other part of it too is some of the clients that we deal with. I had several last year who said, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. Well, I looked and I couldn't find the aesthetic they were looking for. I reached out to a bunch of the builders that I had, a bunch of the people that I know, kind of pocket listings, if you will.
Yep.
And was able to get them about seven properties to look at that were off-market properties that were willing to sell if they had the right buyer. So
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So then if I'm a seller now,
yep.
what am I looking for in a real estate agent?
From a seller perspective, obviously same thing, experience, knowledge in the market.
Yep.
But the other thing, like the biggest part to really separate agents besides reputation, which is the other big thing, referrals,
Yes.
referrals, is the market analysis process. Have somebody come in, have 2 or 3 if you want, come in and do a market analysis. I mean, if they're not doing the homework on your property to earn your business from the beginning, what are they doing to promote it? So our market analysis, we do a walkthrough, then we're coming back, we're doing a presentation. The book is this thick, put yourself to sleep with it if you want, but we're pulling comps, we're pulling our marketing plan is in writing,
Yes.
everything is there. Your expenses, whether you list with us for sale by owner, with another company, compare apples to apples. We want you to do that. Sometimes the agents will all come in with the same price, and then it's just a matter of figuring out who your best fit is.
Yeah.
But there's been several. I had an experience last year where it was a $2 million property, went in with my buyers, not a data sheet on the counter, nothing. So there's a big, beautiful pool, all of this equipment, a little pool house, and it had all this stuff. And we were asking, so I asked the agent, hey, can you tell me if this stuff is going to be included?
Right.
I'm not sure. I'll ask my seller. I'm like, it's been 6 months on the market and you don't know those answers to those questions yet?
I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
processing that.
Yeah.
So I'm hiring as a seller, I'm hiring this real estate agent who has done nothing to understand my property or get it out there.
Doesn't even have the answers to what's, yeah. I mean, so for us, before we even start, we have 4 to 6 page global, like hard copy brochures.
Yes.
Inserts of about 8 pages about your property section, like every room by room, every detail on every living room, bathroom, whatever. Is it because some agents who are newer don't know the difference between granite or quartz?
Yep.
Sometimes we as agents have a hard time looking too, just to
For sure.
tell.
I can see that.
But we dumb it down. So every room is itemized with everything that's included, everything that the property has to offer, sprinkler system, how many zones, security system, all of that's listed out. So agent can walk through if we're not there, because most agents aren't. In our area, it's not like selling Sunset. The agents aren't there for
The
showing.
selling agents aren't following you around.
It's not the BS TV shows that you see, which are not real.
Right.
But so basically, they can go through and they can help sell the property. We want that agent to be able to sell the property. So that's the difference right off the bat, is the market analysis, and then what are they going to do once you're in? And then it's everything from reels to marketing to videos. The bigger thing is we do activity reports. So every week we're touching base with our seller. You don't have to ask us.
I was just going to say, talk to me more about what that is.
So most agents are like, hey, I haven't heard back from my agent on my open house, or hey, is this normal? Like, we haven't had any activity. Every week we are using showing time to tell our sellers, here's what's new, here's what's sold. It wasn't just you, it was Christmas. Here's how many showings have happened in your area and price point. It wasn't just you, nothing happened in this price point. Or 8 showings happened and you had 2 of them. So we're kind of, on par.
And as a seller, I want to look at that and understand that, because it's so hard as buyers and sellers not to take those things personally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially when they're tied to it and it's theirs. They want to be the one where everyone wants to see it and everyone's got something good to say about it. But if you never hear anything, you start taking that personally, you start second guessing yourself, price points, all of that. But if you're giving that feedback to them, that's a way for them to feel secure.
Well, and just to keep in touch. I mean, the last thing you want to do is abandon them when you just got the listing and they're still hearing from their friends that they're getting multiple offers and all of those type of things. Well, if their friends are talking about the $350,000 price point, they might still be getting, but you guys are 700 in, a different area. So you basically have to just continue to educate and just keep in touch. They just want to, they want to know you care. So if you abandon them and they have to read, my rule of thumb in this business is if your clients reach out to you, you've waited too long.
Yes.
They should never be asking you what's going on with their listing. You should be telling them what's going on with their listing. If anything, I probably contact them. I've been told by other people in the industry, because I just did this, and I'm going to segue to something. I just did this for my team and some other people. And I gave them a whole list of questions. Jaden will attest to this, I'm sure. But I basically said, how do people know I'm in the business? What do they know about me? What would they say about working with me? What would they say about working with you? All these other things. And I had asked them, like, what could I have done better in a situation? And some of them have told me that they think that I work too hard and I give too much away. I was like, if that's the worst thing that you could say about me, I'm actually okay with that. But it is actually a really good thing that any team leader should do, or anyone in business. You should give a couple surveys to other people, your peers and people who work with you, even on the outside, and let them say what you could work on and what you do well.
Well, because one of the things I do is if for whatever reason I have a client that I'm getting a pre-approval for and they choose to go with another lender for whatever reason, I always ask them, can you please give me the feedback? I don't want you to feel strange about it. I need it because I can't make myself better and a better help to you if I don't know what we're missing.
Yeah.
And like you said, if the worst things they're going to say is I work too hard or work too much and I'm giving things away, meaning that you're gracious, I can't imagine those being bad things. I mean,
well, and sometimes you lose business and a separate note when you're saying if somebody walked away for something, if it's a rate thing, if it's a commission thing, like I understand.
I can't take it personally.
Yeah.
Yep. I've learned that over the years too, especially, and same thing on our end, on the mortgage side, especially when we're going into that luxury market, those clients are typically pretty money savvy.
Yes.
They're able to purchase in that market for a reason.
Yeah.
And so they're looking at every bottom dollar. They're not just being, they've learned because they've probably purchased. Most people are not buying their first home at $800,000+. So they've gone through it before they understand it. And it is, if I come down where it's rate, I've often said, shop me. I'm always in the game. I'll do whatever I can, but am I going to be your best rate every single day? No lender can possibly be the best rate every single day. No realtor can be the cheapest realtor every single day. Yeah. And you've got to just give your whole package and show your value. It really is coming down to what your value is and what can you do for that client to make it worth it. And I actually really like that because if we're selling ourselves off so cheap as it seemed to be for a minute, you're not doing the clients any service. I can't tell you how many times I've dealt with, and especially in the luxury side, where lineups matter because you're typically not owning more than one home at the same time.
Yep.
You're typically selling one to go into one and things like that. So on the mortgage side, we have to line everything up correctly, which means we need full communication from our realtor.
Yep.
We need full communication with the client, as well as the next realtor for whatever home they might be buying. But, the domino effect. But with that being said, you've got to make sure that you're communicating with that. And when you don't have communication with anyone, because they're all very willy-nilly, it makes those transactions that should be nice and clean and simple very difficult.
Yeah.
And that's not what anybody wants.
Well, in the communication aspect, when you're asking about what a buyer or seller, should be looking for in an agent, communication is number one. I tell most of my clients, if you don't hear back from me in 1 hour, that's probably abnormal. I probably didn't get your message, contact me again. But most of my people know I have it pre-done on my phone. If you haven't done this, you should do it. In the prompt. So if I type NA into my phone, every text message, now mine is right here because I'm obviously in this for 45 minutes or an hour, but I would just type NA. So if I'm in with a showing, I type NA. If I'm talking to you and I have my phone right here, I just type NA. It will say, I'm with other clients. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. They know that I've gotten their message and I'll get back to them.
The acknowledgement is there.
Acknowledgement. So, and then some people say they don't hear back from their agent for a day or two. Yep. So if you call me as a first-time home buyer and I don't call you back in the first couple hours, you might want to keep looking. Because if I'm looking at a new house and it's off the market. I mean, it's not like that anymore. It's kind of changed. But if that market was the way it was the last couple of years, you didn't get in to see a property because your agent wasn't available. That's kind of
100%. And whether they think it's the house for you or not for you, if I'm the consumer, how do I know unless I go see it?
Yeah.
Right? Like if I'm giving you a list and I'm saying I need at least 3 bedrooms and at least this, and it's got none of those things checked, okay, have that conversation. Yep. But I feel the same way even on the mortgage side as well. You say that my phone right now is completely forwarded to my assistant. So that way, while I'm recording this, we're answering, we're responding. They're always going to get one of us that can help them take care of it. Because sometimes it's just a quick question. Yep. And they don't want to wait all day for it. And I understand that. The other part of it is, like you said, I can't tell you how many people, even in the last month, I've pre-approved that have said, if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago if I would be buying a house right now, I would have laughed at you. So as much as we can preempt people to say, get planned, get that pre-approval, a lot of times something showed up in their Facebook or their Instagram and all of a sudden it's the right one and it changes. And, nights and weekends, that's what I've always said. I try to be available as much as I can for the real estate agents that have these clients or for the consumers that they can get a hold of me and we can work with that because that communication piece is everything.
Well, and you're right, because if something comes up on a weekend and you don't have that pre-approval, it's really hard for us to write an offer as an agent. And people don't realize that there's lenders, right? And then there's more like the banker's hour. So some people are on commission and they're only 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. They're not checking their phones at night and they're not commission based. We're commission based.
Right.
So that's how we make money.
Our job is to make sure it's getting done by you the best way we know how. And the reason, the way it works for longevity, and I always say this is, as long as you keep that consumer happy, you give them everything they need and they remember your name. There's your livelihood. For the rest. You don't then need to sell just to make money because you're going to get that repeat business. So
for sure.
Any last minute stats you want to share with us?
Well, you had asked me to give just a little update on what is going on with
Would love to hear it because I'm always interested in this.
Put on my glasses. Such an old lady now. All right. So if we look at just the 800 and up, and I didn't even cap it out, but I just did 800 up in the whole Brown County area, there is currently 24 properties for sale.
Okay.
And that's 800, and that top property right now is $3.9 million.
Wow. I did not know that. $3.9 million. But that's quite a few to choose from if you're in that over 800 category.
13 of them are over $1 million.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Right. And then
I just love it for our community.
Oh,
I love it for our community because we're growing in those areas.
I agree. Now those 2 and 3, there's a couple that are in the 2s and 3s. Those take a while. To be honest, certain properties they might take a year, 2, 3 years to sell. So expectations have to be managed there.
But also communicated. So as long as you're communicating that and not promising them that it's only going to take a month and then 6 months later they fire you and you're surprised why.
Yep. Yeah. Brown County adds last year from 800 up, they had, what do we have? We actually had 64 properties from all realtors and the RAW. 16 of them are waterfront, 15 had at least 2 acres. So you got about 31 properties, so almost half. Yeah. I'm good at math. Almost half basically were the waterfront or the acreage piece. And that makes a difference when you have those luxury properties.
Absolutely going to comment on that because that's also then pretty good options because some people they either want land or they want water. Mm-hmm. They typically don't want land and water. And there's always going to be 1 or 2 out there that's like, yes, I want it all. And I love that for you too. But
and the majority, the rest of those, the fastest ones that are going to sell, East of Pier. So East of Pier, I would say probably number 1, like that Ledgeview area.
Yep, absolutely been
West
growing.
West of Pier and Howard Swamico. Those 3 areas will usually move the fastest in those price points. Ledgeview especially, I don't know why. But
it's, good. Well, Green Bay in general and Northeast Wisconsin has great school districts, but good school districts, growing communities. You can get a little bit more land than you can in town, so it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Anything else you want to leave us with on that? Any tips?
No, I feel like I took you all over the place.
Yeah, no, but I love that. And that's why I truly, for those of you watching, I don't give scripts and I just give our guests a little bit tidbit of what I want to cover because I love the realness. This is the genuine, everything you get out of it. And that's part of what we hope you see through in all of this. So, Jill, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wealth of knowledge. How long in the market or in the industry have you been now?
Well, then I have to tell how old I am, but I've been doing it since I was 14, so 34 years?
Dang.
33 years.
Goals, man. Goals. Yeah. No, that's amazing. And you've got a killer team on your hands. So thank you so much, Jill Dickson with Jill & Company from Coldwell Banker. She will be, I'll have all of her information. So you can please just look at that or reach out to me and I'll make sure to get you a hold of her if you are looking or have any questions in that luxury space. We look forward to seeing you again on the Always On Point podcast with Kristen Ambos.
The holidays are just in the rearview mirror, but it's time to think ahead. Unlock seamless security and efficiency in 2025 with Honeywell Forge Performance Plus for buildings visitor and contractor management software. Trade paper logs and outdated systems for instant check-ins, secure ID verification, and customizable access control that keep you in the driver's seat. With real-time data, you'll always know who's on your property and when, improving both safety and operational efficiency. From tracking visitors to managing contractor access, our intuitive platform makes handling entry simple, secure, and stress-free. Plus, it easily integrates into your existing infrastructure for a seamless transition. Protect your premises and your people today. Ready to upgrade your visitor and contractor management system? Visit sign.co. That's SINE.co to learn more, speak with a sales rep, or book a demo today.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.